What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to the Park Lane podcast. My name is Luke, and as always, I'm joined by my beautiful co-hosts. And we'll start off with Wynnie. Wynnie, how you doing, mate? 1 week off, you're back?
Yeah, I just booked some annual leave, didn't I, with the boss? Booked some annual leave, so we're all good. I'm back now. And you know what? Unsurprisingly, there's been quite a lot happening at Tottenham Hotspur, so I'm excited to express my opinions.
Amazing, exactly. And as always, joining us on the show is Harry Scarf. How you doing, Harry?
I'm very good, thanks. Good to be here. We've got some exciting news tonight. It came out of nowhere with Solomon, so I'm looking forward to discussing it. Because lots gone on with the club recently, with players going out, in rumours, etc. So I'm looking forward to diving deeper into it.
Perfect. And how was, just quickly, mate, how was your time at Spurs the other day?
Yeah, it was very, very good. Thank you. Yeah, I had a couple of great nights. First night was got invited along to meet and chat to Ledley King and Michael Dawson in the evening they have, and watched the 2008 League Cup game that we won before I was born, actually. So that was a really, really nice evening. And then they approached me, like I said, a few weeks ago to show me around, the sensory room and what the club were doing around University. So that was great to do. Very, very kind of the club. So it was a great couple of days because in the space of each other, Thursday and Friday. So yeah, it's been a great week, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'm looking forward to being here as well.
Amazing. And we're very happy to have you back. For those listening on any podcast platform, we're on episode 43, just to keep you all up to date. And, if you are listening on any podcast platform, don't forget to leave a 5-star review. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, where the majority of you listen to, make sure you leave us a review on there as well. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like button. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I can see there's people in the chat already. So if you are new, hit the subscribe button before we continue. So I want to talk all things transfers, because I've got this kind of like feeling at the moment around Spurs where they, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I recognise that with the manager we have now, with Ange, it's the perfect fit. And I've always said this for months, that it was going to be a good fit. But I really, really believe it's the perfect fit now, because not only of the way that we want to play football, but also of the way that we want to make signings. With Antonio Conte and with Jose Mourinho, all the signings they would always ever want to make a high quality, high class, high cost signings. And it's just not a way that Spurs want to do business. And we really, really struggled trying to do a bit of both, because Daniel Levy would never, ever want to do one or the other. Wynnie, what are your thoughts kind of on that as a whole, as a statement?
Look, mate, I should have listened to you sooner. I'm gonna hold my hands up and openly admit I should have listened to you sooner. I should have jumped aboard the Ange train a lot quicker than I did, because I just watching through the socials, all the things that obviously started officially yesterday, but we've seen things in the background. He just looks like a perfect fit for Spurs, and it's probably ignorance on my behalf, because I probably didn't know as much about him as you did previously. But yeah, he looks perfect. We appear to be. I don't know if this is a Tottenham thing through urgency, or whether it's a typical Ange trait, but we appear to be doing our business early, which we don't tend to do. So credit for that. But yeah, he looks the part. He speaks, so well. And I think I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think he could do some very good things at the club.
Yeah, no, I agree. And welcome to Pav from Paxton Road TV. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys?
Yeah, no, we're good.
Very good.
Better late than never, I suppose, isn't it? But anyway, I'll forgive you, as it's your debut on the show, so you'll get used to it. But yeah, I'm glad you're well. Pav, what are your thoughts on Ange? And we'll go into the signings a little bit more in kind of detail in a bit. But kind of what feelings do you get as a whole, seeing some of the interviews and everything else with him?
I think he's a perfect fit for us, to be honest. after watching his recent interview yesterday, I just think that he's raring to go. And I feel like, I don't want to get ahead of myself, I feel like he is the start of our rebuild. And I think that he can pinpoint the certain things that needs to be done within the club, and obviously the way that he plays, and hopefully getting back to our Spurs ethos of playing the way that we want to play, and hopefully getting rid of certain players. You can see that he's passionate already and he knows how important the fans are. So hopefully he gets behind the team, he knows what he's doing, and he's ready to go. I mean, let's see what the preseason says. We'll get a rough idea of how he is like within the preseason and go from there. But I'm very excited for him to start.
Amazing. I'm glad to hear it. Harry, you weren't always an Ange advocate, but, you know, I can see over time that, you know, you have started to warm to him. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I can sit here and admit I have, purely because you watched like his interview yesterday, and it's great to hear. I think the way we've acted in the transfer window, and immediately getting on with the Kulusevski business, signing him, then bringing in that goalkeeper in Vicario instantly, so we don't have to worry towards the window as we go into the new season. Maddison, I think that is a top signing now. Solomon potentially as well, for getting the business done early, but it looks like proper good signings. So I think the signs are good. I like the way Postecoglou speaks. He comes across with the media. I think he's the right guy in terms of what we need now, in terms of getting the identity back. Yeah, loving watching our club again. But I do think it's a risk-free appointment in terms of we're outside of Europe. You know, we've had two proven winners in Conte and Mourinho who have in the end failed because, you know, they didn't achieve their objective, whatever that was. Even if, you know, Conte achieved in that first season, overall, I don't think it was very successful. So Postecoglou, I think, comes in, you know, without pressure, but at the same time, he's walking into a big job, so there is that pressure there. But I think being outside of Europe helps him, you know, to work with the team, to focus domestically, to focus on the league. See, I'm all of a sudden excited towards next season. Part of that is, like we said, you're going out there and signing Maddison. But the difference is from this season to last season, because last season we did get the deals done, but we're signing players like Maddison, and we get, you know, you got someone on a free. It looks like that's needed done to stick. Vicario, you know, praised by the likes of Buffon, which is great to see. Like generational talent, he called him. So all of a sudden, it does seem very, very exciting, and we're definitely going the wrong way about it.
Yeah, it looks like Daniel Levy has hacked Harry's Wi-Fi again, trying to stop him from dissing him a little bit. But yeah, exactly. You know, I think you're right. I think that, you know, let's not forget, right? This is going to be Ange's biggest challenge of his career, the biggest job he's ever had, and you know, he still sits there with the same attitude that you saw from the likes of when he joined Celtic. You know, and it's the same thing that happened there. You know, his mission is to get back the fans back on side, is to play attacking football and to bring some success to the football club. Like, and I think he needs time. Like, we aren't going to see it this season. Like, we aren't going to see him, you know, winning domestic trophies this season. But the first thing he needs to do, I think, is the easiest thing that he needs to do, which is just get the squad playing his brand of football, which identifies, as Pav said, with Spurs ethos. So, you know, I think it's going to be really exciting. You know, hopefully I don't have to, you know, eat my words, because I've been a big Ange advocate for a while. And if this all falls flat on its face, then, you know, I'll be the first one that people come to. But
we'll be coming for you, mate.
Exactly. Everyone likes to back me when it happened, and now it could all go the other way. But Wynnie,
the tweets have been bookmarked.
Wynnie, let's start with the signing of the goalkeeper Vicario. I don't want to even try and pronounce his first name, so hopefully he's happy with that. I'll give you a couple of bits of information on him. 26-year-old goalkeeper, played 32 games in all competitions last season, conceded 41 goals with a team that finished 14th in the league, which is an average of 1.28 goals per game conceded. Now, looking at those stats, you're not sitting there and going, do you know what? This is the best keeper we've ever signed. But there's a few things that obviously need taken into consideration. Number one, being his age, only 26, average of goalkeepers play to at least 36, I would imagine. So you've got, you know, potentially a 10 years worth of a player there. The other one is he was the goalkeeper for Empoli, who finished 14th in Serie A last season. So,
Yeah.
Look at the goalkeepers that finished 14th in the Premier League. I would suspect that they conceded more goals than that. What are your thoughts on this guy? Because realistically, he's unknown. When the deal was going through, the classic Spurs Twitter fan base decided that they
cheap option.
The cheap option, yeah, exactly. Classic Daniel Levy again. Cheap option, blah 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 blah. But what are your kind of thoughts on him?
I don't. Obviously, he's unknown to me. We can only go by stats and YouTube compilations, which work out fantastically, as we know, watching the Tongi and Dombele compilations, which didn't, form for Tottenham. So, look, again, I think it's similar to Ange. It's pretty much risk free. I know it's not. It wasn't a free transfer or anything. It's cost, what was it, about 17 million pound?
About 17 million, yeah.
Yeah, so it's virtually risk free, really. The whole David Raya thing. Look, I don't care what anyone says. I know everyone say, but it's what we need. Like, if anyone wants to pay 45 million for someone who could walk away for free in 11 months, carry on. That's not the business. That's not the type of thing that we want. I don't want it personally. That's not my money. I don't really care, but I don't want to be attached to deals like that. Very stupid. So, I think the one thing that I noticed with Vicario is, as you say, I think he could. Let's say these are kind of mixed, but I think it was, say he conceded 39 goals roughly. Yeah, I think his expected goals, what he should have conceded, was about 50. So I think he's probably 10 or 12 below what he should have conceded. So if you want to take stats, stats can be manipulated in any way you want them to, but the stats look good, and I think he fits the profile that we want of playing out from the back. So look, if Ange's on board, I'm on board, and that's all it. That's all that matters, really. I wasn't before, but if Ange wants him, then I want him. It's as simple as that.
Perfect. Pav, I don't know if you saw the interview that he had, and how the kind of moves that he's made, and how to me it really struck out that he really wanted to push himself as a player and had the drive and passion to be able to play one day in the Premier League. Even if we don't know a lot about him, he definitely speaks well and his English is good.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't really have an opinion of him because, as Wynnie said, as Spurs fans, we didn't even know who he was until we signed him, right? But from what I see, and like you said, from his interview as well, you can see that he's ready to go. He looks confident, which is a big thing as well. But we've just got to back him, and hopefully he doesn't make the mistakes that Lloris has made and previous goalkeepers as well. And I think he's got a positive with his age as well, and hopefully under Ange he will fit that mentality and go from there. But we've just got to back him and see how it goes. And like I said before, we'll see the preseason how he is, and whether he is going to be our first goalkeeper or not, we don't know, but we've just got to back him.
Yeah, 100%. Harry, you're a big advocate for David Raya, and I saw you angrily shaking your head at Wynnie's comments regarding David Raya. I'm putting myself out there and saying that what Wynnie said, in my opinion, is completely 100% accurate. But I want to hear your thoughts on this, Harry. You're on mute. You're still on mute. 2 secs. Hold on. Harry, you might have to drop out and come back in. It's the same as it was last week.
No, I just muted myself. That's me. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my fault. But what I was going to say is with Vicario, obviously I'm going to give him a chance. I don't buy the fact it was a cheap option when you've got Buffon, saying he's generational talent. That's not just something we've gone for the cheap option. I don't believe that. Like with Solomon on the free transfer, I don't believe we've gone for him just because he's free. I think we've seen a player in there as well. I think the bonus is free, but I don't think it's the only reason. With David Raya, is plain and simple. You 40 million for Premier League proven for 2 seasons now. An English goalkeeper is the minimum fee. For me, the value for David Raya is between 40 and 45 million. So I think 40 million's easily worth. You've got Alisson, the price he went for. You've got Kepa, the price he went for, the price Edison went for. And David Raya.
Do you really sorry to interrupt you, do you really put David Raya in the same bracket as
Yes.
Edison and Alisson?
I think so. I do think so. I think David Ray's in that bracket for 40 million. I think we talk about bargain with James Maddison. I wouldn't go as far as that with David Raya, but for 40 million, that's market price. And you've got someone like Declan Rice, who West Ham are massively over the valuation, over the price range that he's actually worth. Perhaps he's worth 70, 80, maybe even 90, but I think we can all agree he's not worth as good as people may think he is, 105 million. So with David Raya, to get a player for what I think Brentford's valuation is spot on, and they should hold out for 40 million. We haven't paid it. I think that will come back. I think that will come back to us. I hope not. Of course, I'd rather have David Raya. And it's like Rennie says, it's risk-free, but it's also risky if he's going to be the first goalkeeper. But Vicario needs time. It's personally not what I would have done, but at the same time, we probably wouldn't have been able to go out and sign Maddison for 40 million if we'd spent that on David Raya. And I'd much rather have Maddison, so can't complain with that.
It's interesting you say that, H, because I don't know if you've seen the stats graphics for goalkeepers.
He's out there, isn't he, Vicario? He's up there yeah.
And as a fan base, last season when it came out that we wanted to take a much more stats-based approach, such as teams like Brighton do on their signings, how much last season we said about how well Brighton do recruitment-wise, and that we also need to make smart signings like that. It's interesting that Vicario is actually better in terms of a stats-based approach than David Raya H.
Yeah, fantastic. But believe it or not, football's not decided by stats. If you went by stats and then all the results last season, 75% of them wouldn't have been the outcome. We could have had some of the teams that are in a relegation battle and are at the top, for example. Look at someone like Brighton 2 years ago, who created loads of chances but couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. If you went by stats, they would have won the league. So I don't think stats is anything to go by. David Raya is the difference is between David Raya and Vicario. David Raya is proven, he's an English goalkeeper, 40 million. So counts that homegrown. I just think 40 million isn't that bad at all. And when I saw Brentford demanded 40 million, I thought, oh, great, surely we'll pay that. And I think Man United are bonkers not to pay that either, to be fair, or even try to get close to that. Even if we put a bid in close to, if you get him 35, 38 million, but you can understand why Brentford are holding out. And that's why their model works so well, because they do very, very well. They demand that high price. So I think Brentford, although at the same time they will need to get rid of ideally David Raya, because he won't want to be the keeper they've signed, won't want to be number 2, and nor will David Raya. So Brentford is a little bit stuck in that regard, but their valuation's spot on for me. But stats is nothing to go by. I'm
putting this out there. I don't believe that anybody signs David Raya this summer.
No.
And Brentford have a replacement for him as well. So
yeah.
They're crazy not to, personally.
Unless they lower the price, nobody's going to be touching that, I can tell you now.
Yeah, agreed. Right, Pav, I'm coming back to you to talk about James Maddison, because we've had conversations before about James Maddison. And, you have a similar outcome to me. But I think, slowly, both of us, our minds are being changed, in terms of the interviews that we've seen him do, and the various different things like that. How excited now are you of the signing of James Maddison?
I'm buzzing, I can't lie. You already know my opinion on him before, but I didn't like him before that. But now after, he signed Spurs and watching his interviews, he is a quality player. I'm not going to say that he's not a quality player, because he is. Like he was a big part of Leicester, and I feel like he can bring that creativity to Spurs. And I'm putting it out there, this might be extreme for me to say this, but he could potentially be an Eriksen replacement. So who knows? And his free kicks are good. He could be our set piece maker. Who knows? But we're just gonna have to see. And it's definitely an excellent signing. And I think Ange done well with this.
Yeah, 100%. And Winnie, Leicester. this is a typical thing, right? Leicester were asking around £60 million for James Maddison. Spurs ended up paying approximately £40 million. That is the type of thing that we need to see, and that really reflects, our opinion on what we were just discussing with David Raya. A realistic valuation. And you have to say, people said Daniel Levy needs to stay out of the way of all of these things, but we'll talk about Kulusevski in a minute. There's £5 million knocked off that deal. There's £20 million knocked off, the Maddison deal. That is the thing that he is good at, if we're allowed to praise Daniel Levy. I think we are allowed now, aren't we?
We're not allowed to praise him.
But what are your thoughts on Maddison, Winnie?
Mate, I am gassed. Maddison is huge, and I don't care what anyone says. He is huge. Would I put him world class? I don't think he's far off it. I really don't think he's far off it. We're buying a player who, in terms of goal contributions, is well up there in the Premier League. Only surpassed by Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. So if we've got the top 3 or top 2, 1, 2, and 4 of Premier League goal contributions, we're doing something right. Look, we've missed that creativity. We've been starved of creativity from losing Christian, and I think we have exactly got what we've got now. We've got it back, and we won't have to see H dropping so deep to receive the ball, because our only creativity has come through Harry Kane. And if Harry Kane knows that he can be like the pivotal point of our attack rather than having to drop deep, I can only see it being great for us, and can only see it being creating and scoring more goals. So look, Maddison is huge. I don't think we would have paid 60 million or what there was originally touting. However, I think he's going to make that much of an influence. I'm going to kind of contradict myself. But I think if they were touting 60 and they were dead set on it, I would have probably paid it, because I think Maddison will be a huge signing for Spurs.
Amazing. And Harry, I think this is something that you also agree on, right? So finally, the first part of the day that we'll all agree.
Well, it might be something that you may disagree with, but I'm absolutely buzzing about Maddison. Maddison's a player that I've always liked, and it's good to see, isn't it, Luke? Some people come around to these type of things. A bit like me with Ange, but no, with Maddison, I'm absolutely buzzing. I think it's a top signing, 40 million as well. I mean, that give credit where credit is due to the club, but also Daniel Levy in particular. Not only for signing Maddison, but get him for 40 million. That's an absolute steal. Putting it out there, I think this is the signing of the window, the bargain of the window. Because especially when you've got Havertz going to Arsenal for 55, I think it is million, around about there, and you've got Mount going to Man United for 70 million. I know who I'd rather have out of those three, and he's, believe it or not, the cheapest option as well. I find that baffling.
So he's gone for the cheap option again.
Well, he's gone for the quality. What I would turn around and say is he's gone for the quality option. I'm buzzing about this. I think Maddison walks straight to the first team. I think he eventually will be a regular starter. And obviously, Pav, like you say, we haven't had someone like that since Eriksen. So it's nice to have that creativity back. I don't think it would take him long to get to that level. I think what we've seen at Leicester, obviously Spurs is still a step up. I'm hoping it really, really can work. But all of a sudden, I'm a fan of Højbjerg, but I can sit here and go, we went from midfield last season of Skip and Højbjerg, which was boring and not exciting and had nothing special to it compared to any other Premier League midfield. It was a long, long way behind to potential midfield next season with Maddison, Basuma and Bentancur when he's fit. That is very, very exciting. People talk about Arsenal's midfield, United's midfield. That's got to be up there. So not only next season could we have the best three, front three in Europe or in the world, what people want to say when they're up and firing, we could have up there one of the best midfields as well. And if I remember correctly, Johnny's an Arsenal fan. I mean, if you're an Arsenal fan, you'll be kicking yourself. You may have a player in Havertz, but you're paying 55 million, and you've got someone a lot better in James Maddison for 40 million. So we've definitely been wiser than Arsenal in the market in that case. I'm buzzing.
Definitely, mate. No, 100%. I think you're right. I'm not going to talk about Arsenal, but shout out to Johnny in the comments. You do come on every week, and so thank you.
We love you, Johnny.
Anybody else that's watching, make sure you get your comments in the comments section, and also make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button as well. Right, let's move on to two other signings that have made permanent, which were already Spurs players. Dejan Kulusevski is now a permanent Spurs player. And even though Pedro Porro had a mandatory fee anyway, Spurs have paid the fee, obviously. So now he is a permanent Spurs player. I'm good. Willie, I'll come back to you. I'm glad to see Porro getting that move made permanent, even though we had to, because he hasn't really had the best of starts, and people are always considering, whether he is the right player for Spurs and this new Ange lineup and everything else. Kulusevski, I think we've always discussed as a no-brainer, but it's good to see that Porro's been finally made a Spurs player.
Yeah. Again, another no-brainer for me. I think what he has shown in his very little time at Tottenham, I think he's shown that he can be a huge, huge player. And I understand the comments that, he doesn't necessarily fit the Ange system. But I also believe when a player is that good, you don't build it around them, but you make sure that they fit into your system. And I think it'd be huge. I mean, it could be similar to and I don't want to say his name, but Pochettino. Obviously, the system we played in Pochettino was 4-2-3-1, which I believe is kind of not similar to what Ange likes to play, but it's kind of like a variation on it in the sense that if you look at who we had in Kyle Walker and Danny Rose, could they defend?
No.
I'll answer that for you. No, they couldn't. Their main priority in that system was just bombing on and getting forward and helping with creating chances. And then one of the midfielder dropped in. Well, I say one, it was Eric Dyer would drop into the defence. So I think if we're going to play a similar system to that, I think Porro fits it perfectly. But yeah, another no-brainer, similar to Kulusevski. But yeah, no-brainer, Porro. I think he's going to be a huge player for Spurs.
Perfect. Pav, are you happy that both of those players are now permanent Spurs players?
Yeah, definitely. I think Kulu is a big part of Spurs. Like, I know a lot of fans have said, last season wasn't his season, which is fair enough. I mean, he did have a rough season, but he is a quality player. And the same for Porro as well. Like, I think the more time he has on the pitch, the more game time he has, he'll improve. It all comes with time, to be honest. And I think under Ange's system, we'll definitely see a different side to both of them. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, definitely. I genuinely think that Pedro Porro could be a very, very good player for us in an attacking role as opposed to a defensive role. I think that he could rival Kulusevski on the right wing. I tweeted it quite a long time ago. No one ever reads my tweets, but I did tweet and say that I think he could be one of the best wingers in the league. And I just think that he offers so much in an attacking presence. And Winnie, you were saying that Porro doesn't really fit Ange's system. I don't think he fit Antonio Conte's system either. He's not a defensive player. He's not a player that wants to defend a lot and have a lot of defensive responsibilities.
Let me just say, sorry, let's not forget, we do currently still have Emerson Royale and Jed Spence on our books. So maybe his plans are to push Porro a little bit further up. We don't really know. Because I mean, defensively, I haven't really seen enough of Spence to see what he's like defensively, but we know that Emerson Royale defensively, that is his strength. That's Emerson Royale's strength. So maybe we're going to have a bit of a lopsided in terms of Emerson Royale or Udogie might push forward and Emerson Royale will maybe create a free when we're in attack and stuff like that. So there's a load of variations and I'm quite excited. So we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Harry, what are your thoughts on these? Are you happy that Kulu's a permanent signing? Because a lot of people, have a lot to say about him, but I think there's a lot more to his game than kind of just the guy that cuts inside with his left foot.
Oh, absolutely. I'm very happy that we've signed both Kulusevski and Porro permanently. In particular, impressed with the Kulusevski one because obviously getting that fee off for him and the fact it wasn't mandatory. And to the braveness, I think, to go to Juventus and even try that with the potential of them just walking away and taking Kulusevski to go and pull it off as well. It's amazing. I mean, you don't know unless you ask. So I like that side to Daniel Levy. And as much as I've been someone who wants him to step away from the football side, what he can do is he can come up with these moments of miracles where he can
lie down,
put a deal up like this and get all of a sudden money off, which makes you think, hang on, why do I want him out of football? But no, they're two excellent players with bags of potential, both young players as well. But with Porro, people say quick to judge. I think we signed a player here with so much potential. The price tag says that, and the price tag is the same with Richarlison. The only reason we're talking about he's not good enough, he's a flop, he's this, he's that, I think it's just because of the price tag he comes with. If we sign Porro for nothing, then I don't think there'd be any of this pressure. The only bit I will disagree on is I think the Conte system was not perfect for him, but I think it suited him in terms of because Conte played with fullbacks, but maybe not to the point whereas Conte's fullbacks are made to defend. I completely agree with that. I just think I think Porro would probably be better in a back five than four, because if you think about it, then you're doing more attacking, but it didn't work like that under Conte. So that's an interesting one. Personally, I want Porro to be played in the back four. I know, Luke, you obviously think about him playing forward, just because that would mean taking Kulusevski out of the team or taking someone like Maddison or Basuma out of the team to kind of fit Kulusevski in a different position. You see what I mean? So in my ideal mind, in the midfield, you've got Son, you've got Kulusevski, you've got Basuma, you've got Bentancur, you've got Maddison. Then as a fullback, you've got Porro. Adoki, can he play that left back right? I mean, I want Adoki to be in the team eventually because I love what I've seen, wherever and however that is. Can he play the left back? If not, you've got Davis. So I think people have thrown under the bus. I think people are forgetting that he's a dependable, reliable player. I think maybe you don't quite agree with me, but I think he's up there. He's consistently delivers, very, very loyal, and he would be not the first name on my team sheet, but he'd definitely be on my team sheet. He's safe as well. Garrett, if you want some defensive stability, that's the only thing that worries me about next is defensively. If we can get the partner to Romero, that's a slight worry gone, but it's defensively. If you play with someone like Adoki or even Reguilon, let's say with Porro or Spence on the other side, they're more forward thinking. But Ange can work with Porro defensively or work with Adoki defensively. But with again Reguilon here, I was a big fan of Reguilon, and I didn't want him to go in the first place. So I'd be very, very happy as the fullbacks to be Reguilon and Porro. I'd be very happy to be even Davis and Emerson with Porro being used in a different way. So there's so many different ideas, but Ange will trial that in pre-season. And I've got the privilege of going to that Shakhtar Donetsk game, which will be the first time experiencing Postecoglou, his style, the way he goes about things. It'd be interesting, will he still stick to the formation? Will he tweak it slightly with the players? I kind of hope he sticks to what worked with him at Celtic, and he gets the players to kind of adapt. I think players should be able to do that. So it'll be very, very interesting to see. But it's good because you can go into a game with 3 or 4 different tactical ideas that we can tweak, and I think there's nothing better. Because one thing I think we can all agree on last season's under Conte, he had this one way of playing, and he wouldn't change even if he knew it had to change.
Oh, well, I'm sure Harry will be back in a minute, but let's move on. Gives me a chance to speak, and actually a segue into my next talking point, which is this here. Breaking news. I know, exactly. It looks like Spurs are about to sign Manor Solomon from Shakhtar Donetsk, unless I've pronounced that wrong. Yeah. It's an interesting signing because, and actually the reason why it's a segue, obviously, is because we have to play them in a friendly. And a lot of the talking points now are regarding this Solomon, because Shakhtar are suggesting that he shouldn't be allowed to go on a free transfer, because the only reason he had to go to Fulham last season was because he couldn't play for Shakhtar due to the war in Ukraine. And so it's very, very interesting signing. I believe that this has been set up for a long time. There's a reason why there's a friendly against Shakhtar, and it will, it will be something like the proceeds from the ticket sales will go to Shakhtar, something along those lines, which will help, pay for a transfer.
I've got more breaking news on Solomon 2 minutes ago from Fabrizio Romano, just saying that the Solomon will sign a 5-year deal until June 2028, and medical will be Tuesday, and announcement will be by the end of the working week.
So to me, that's it's all very much close to one another. The fact that this friendly has been arranged, the fact that that Shakhtar want to go to FIFA and court and all the rest of it over this. I think that it won't affect Spurs in any way, and I think that's why it's been planned. And anyone could say that it was a good move by a certain somebody, but I'm not going to mention that. Wynnie, don't know much about him, but he is a free transfer, a young player, and I mean, you can go wrong, can you?
Free transfers, we discussed this previously. Free transfers are a no-brainer, really. There's no risk to it unless the wages are astronomical, which I can't imagine them being for Solomon. So, I don't know anything about him. I watched a quick clip of him before we came on the pod, and it was in the FA Cup when he cut in on his right foot and bent it into the far corner. So if he can do that, a little bit more of that for Spurs, then I'll be very happy. But look, risk-free. If Ange wants him, I've said it again. I've said it once. I'll say it again. If Ange wants him, then I want him. You can never have too many players in that position, but I do think he's got a bit of a job on his hands now because he needs to trim the squad because I feel like we are overloading a little bit on players. But yeah, as far as Solomon's concerned, free transfer, no brainer.
Pav, I don't expect anyone in this chat to know much about Solomon, but what do you think to the news? Do you think that happy that it's a free transfer? Any thoughts?
I mean, I don't even know who the guy is, but we've just got to
sound like Danny Rose now.
Yeah, it is. But if we do end up getting this guy, we're just going to have to back him and see how he goes. But I don't know. We've just got to. There's no harm in taking him on and seeing how he plays, right? So just got to see if we do sign him and if he plays in pre-season, see how he is.
Yeah, no, I think you've got that spot on. Harry, do you got anything you want to shed a light on that?
Apart from the fact that Fulham, I've a club that I've never minded at all. A club that when Spurs are on, will watch. And Solomon has been in and out of the team, partly due to injury, but partly due to Fulham's strength last season. Was in midfield. That's very, very strong. They had Harrison Reed. They had, forgot his name. And anyway, the midfield was very, very strong last season. So with Solomon, he didn't quite fit into that midfield and the way Marco Silva played. But when he did play, especially in cup competitions, he was magnificent. And for free transfer as well, he can't be bad. I have a big friend who's a Fulham fan. He's been texting me all evening. He's saying that I'm not too fussed because like I'm saying here, we're very strong in that area. With Solomon, he said that he wants him to do well for us, and that he thinks he'll still be a fantastic signing because he was very good for Fulham when he played last season. There's obviously a few problems with Shakhtar Donetsk. I don't think Shakhtar Donetsk will get anywhere with that because after all, it is the rules. And I can't see anything coming off that. But I suppose, again, like this thing, you don't know unless you try. So I think he'll be a Tottenham player by the end of the week, regardless. Free transfer, like I said, is fine. And what I've seen, he's good. I don't think he'll be a first-team starter, but he strengthens the squad and may allow others to go out the door as well. So, and he won't be on a high wage at all. So clever. Another player through the door, but the priority's got to be the defence, and bringing a centre back in, a top quality centre back, is all we really need now for me.
Yeah, 100%. And big shout out to Holly Agambar in the chat. Hope you're doing well. We will get on to talking about Harry Winks in a minute, but she said we're actually doing business for once. Now give me those defenders. Well, Holly, you have to wait maybe another 15 minutes, and we'll get on to that and talk about potential defenders. But right, guys, let's quick run through of some players that have been rumoured to leave. But I'm going to start with Harry Winks because, again, Wynnie, I'm going to come to you. I've got to say it's good business. I've got to say that actually £40 million really equates to £30 million for James Maddison because we've sold Harry Winks 10 million the other way. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I say I'm a huge fan of Winks. I was there when he was bossing Real Madrid. So look, he's been a good servant. He's been at Spurs all of his youth career, all of his career. So look, we've got to put sentiment aside because we've looked at previous managers, probably looked at Harry Winks and gone, oh, okay, look, he's been here for a while. We should probably keep him on the books, But we need to just strip the squad of people like Harry Winks and. Look, he's going to boss the championship, let me tell you. He is going to boss that championship. He looked good when he played. Was it Sampdoria or wherever he was? I think that's where he was.
Yeah,
he went on loan, and he looked good in that league. So he's going to be a very, very good acquisition for Leicester. And as you say, even though the deals were separate, it is technically £30 million for Maddison. So it just makes that even more sweeter, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. Especially a player that we isn't really in the team and hasn't been in the team for some time. It just makes it even better. Jay has said, "Do you think we'll get Mickey van der Ven and how much for?" Hello, Scarfy. Yeah, we will get onto that. As I said, 10 minutes or so, and we'll be talking about
Stay tuned.
defenders. Pav, I'll come to you very quickly on Harry Winks. Do you have any sentimental value like Wynnie does about Harry Winks?
I do. I did like him as a player, and I mean, towards the end of his time with us, I think he was mistreated, and it's not fair. But he done quite a bit for us, and you can see how passionate he is about the club, and he's been there from such a young age as well, and working his way up. Quite extraordinary, but now he's gone to Leicester, and I think it's a great signing. I think he will do wonders there and hopefully help him, come back up to the Prem. Who knows? But I think it was time anyway. Obviously, he went out on loan, but I couldn't see him back at our club now anyway. So it was time for him to move on, and Leicester is probably the best club he could be at the moment.
Yeah, agreed. Holly's actually said, "Oh no, that's not the one. Hold on. Don't we get more money if Leicester get promoted?" Well, I didn't actually know that was a thing. So if that is
I
the
didn't
case,
know that either.
That's clever Daniel Levy again, to be fair.
Exactly. I know, exactly. Harry, this is...
Oh, my God.
I know, exactly. I think you're going to have to...
It's just why I'm staying positive. I think we come back to this at Christmas. And we'll...
you get invited to the Spurs stadium once, and now you just talk wonders about Daniel Levy. I think something's wrong with you.
Daniel Levy's in his ear.
Daniel Levy gave me, the club gave me an opportunity to be shown around the stadium. That was nice. I got that invite, and then I got to meet Michael Dawson and Ledley King, and had a nice evening there. That was lovely, and I got to lift a trophy as well. So I'm very happy with Levy at the moment.
Nice one, Holly. Thanks for that.
Yeah, cheers. No, that's good. Harry, just a quick one. There's a rumor for Ryan Sessegnon to go to Forest. What do you think about that?
I think it would be a perfect move for Ryan Sessegnon. Again, a player I can't speak badly about because I had the privilege to meet him myself at the academy. Nice, very shy, but nice guy. That's his character. The player. I don't think his career is quite worked out. I don't think he's a player we signed from Fulham. I think he's always been good going forward, but there was a times last season where he'd make the wrong choice, or he wouldn't be able to track back and defend. Injuries obviously haven't helped him, but I think Ryan Sessegnon now, he's got to look in his position. He's got to look at Udogie. He's got to look at Reguilon. He's got to look at Davis and go, blimey, I don't think I stand a chance here because I don't think he does. And the priority for him is got to be getting first team football, ideally the Premier League, so he doesn't have to unsettle family, etc., friends, etc. So going to a club like Nottingham Forest, first team football. But first team football, I think, is a fantastic move for him because he walks into that Forest team. But Forest could have fullbacks of Aurier and Sessegnon next season. They could have experience in the park of the likes of John Joe Shelby. So, for Forest's sake, they're building a team that they hope can stay in the Premier League. So this is a fantastic signing.
Yeah. No, I think I kind of agree with you. The other part of me thinks that Forest squad is so full right now that for a player like Sessegnon, in my opinion, you would worry about, or maybe you wouldn't, maybe motivated by that. But there is so much.
Not in his position, though.
Yeah.
They're going to Nottingham Forest are going to be going into the league, potentially having Ryan Sessegnon and Serge Aurier as their fullbacks. So I'm not concerned one bit. If that's what they want to do, then that's up to them.
Right, let's move on, Pav. I'm coming back to you to discuss the thing that no one wants to discuss, and that is Bayern Munich and Harry Kane. I'm going to quickly ask you, is there a fee that you would take and sell Harry Kane to Bayern Munich for?
I mean, the fee that's been discussed, I don't agree with, I think he's worth more, but I don't have an exact amount. I don't agree with the fee that's been discussed. I think he's worth more. I don't know if you don't agree.
Okay, so let's say they came in, for example, with £100 million. Do you sell Harry Kane tomorrow?
Yeah. I think I don't want to say it, but I think obviously with his contract and everything now, he's got like what this season left, and then he's on a free or whatever. He can walk out, and I think if we sell him now for that amount, use that money to buy other players that we need to build up our squad, maybe find a replacing striker. We can't get the same quality as Harry. That's just a no-brainer. But if we sell him now, 100 million, build up our squad, it'll be better than letting him walk out on a free later down the line and we don't have that money coming in.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I know that Harry has a fee for Harry Kane, and I'll come to you in a second, Harry. But we talk about all these things that Daniel Levy does, and some things people disagree on, some people agree on, and some people don't care. Right?
Yep.
This is probably one of like the riskiest moves that he could do. The only way that I could discuss it is it's like playing A, Russian roulette, or B, going all in a poker match when you've got nothing to play. And, that's the part that worries me, is that I believe now he is so certain that Harry Kane does not go that he would rather he's so I should say the opposite. Sorry, he's so confident he can get Harry Kane to sign a new contract that that's the worry for me, because there's no chance, in my opinion, Daniel Levy believes that he goes in a free transfer, because it would be absolute career suicide if he did.
Yeah, and just to say, if you're Daniel Levy, what you don't want to happen is, like you say, him leaving on a free. So if you're Levy, you try and get 100 million for him, or you get him to sign a new deal, which obviously be better. I think I'm not going to say he's under scrutiny for his job. He's in a better position than he was a couple of months ago, for sure. With myself included, for sure, with the appointment, with the signings, and with the efficiency and professionalism already getting on with the window. With Harry Kane, yes, that's exactly a worry. But with Harry Kane, I've made my opinions very, very clear on this. Obviously, I don't want him to leave. Nobody should want him to leave. But if Bayern Munich came in with 100 million, I would take that. And no, I would not sign a replacement for Kane, because this is unpopular opinion, but I'd be very, very happy with Richarlison. Spend that 100 million on one or two quality defenders, and I think we have a team. But Bayern Munich's evaluation at the moment is embarrassing, and I saw reports in the week of that they've put themselves to shame, etc. And I do believe that. I think the evaluation is very low. If Declan Rice is worth 105 million, then Kane's easily worth 200, but that's a completely other thing. But if you get 100 million for Kane right now, I mean it. You get 100 million for Kane right now, stops the risk of him going on a free. Go for it. We don't need a replacement, because we've signed someone for 60 million. You'd be crazy to go and get a replacement. So I stand clear on that. I want people to come back to me in a year's time if it goes right or wrong, because I think this will happen. Yeah, it's very, very simple for me.
Harry, I hope these rumours that are coming in aren't true. We'll talk about that later.
No.
Anyway, so Wynnie, I reckon Spurs, if they were to sell him, Spurs sell him for 85 million. That's my thought. I don't think we get 100 million with a year left in his contract. I genuinely don't think anyone pays that. Yeah. What do you think?
I've said it from the start, and maybe it's just because of the sentiment value. I don't think Harry Kane goes anywhere. I genuinely believe, I honestly think Daniel Levy, and he will get scrutinised for it, but not from me, because I think he will leave on a free transfer next season, depending on what happens this season. And the reason why I think that is because Daniel Levy is right to stick to his valuation of 100 million. And if nobody comes in for it, which they won't, nobody's going to pay that for Harry Kane. Nobody's got the money to pay that for Harry Kane, and nobody will. So Harry Kane stays. It's as simple as that. And I think we've got one season with Ange, for Ange to impress him and show him the ambition that he talks about in his interviews and stuff about winning trophies and stuff like that. I know we've had this conversation and we have it every single year, but we've got one more chance to try and impress him and show him that we're matching his ambitions. Because I remember an interview that Kane had, and all he said is, "I just want the club to match my ambitions, and if Harry Kane's ambitions are to win a trophy, we need to show him that we're matching that." So look, I think nobody comes in and pays 100 million. Nobody would be stupid enough. I think I think Harry Kane's worth more than that. He's priceless to me and to us. So I don't think anyone comes in for him, and I think he stays. And I'm not sure if I'm assuming the transfer window closes after the season starts. I'm not sure if they've changed that rule yet.
Yeah, 1st of September, I think.
It's absolutely absurd, but I still think that let's say the second or third game of the season, Harry Kane will be leading the line for Tottenham with that big captain armband on his arm.
Yeah, interesting. It's not going to be good for the soul if he does leave, because I was emotional at Lucas Moura's leaving video, and it's going to be even worse if we see a Harry Kane one. But let's move on from that. It's only paper talk. A view from the South Stand TV just said, he's agreed terms with Bayern. Again, that's just, in my opinion, that's just rumours. That's just stuff that his agent and his brother has agreed
from
with.
the Daily Mail.
Yeah, exactly. You can't bloody trust the Daily Mail. They're nearly as bad as the Sun. Anyway, but yeah, look, it is what it is. I'm always been for a long time and leaving neutral. Like, I've never stepped over that line. And I can be slated as much as whoever regarding that. Unlike Harry, jumps from side to side depending on which way the wind blows. But the one thing I will back Daniel Levy to do is to negotiate the impossible. And it's getting less and less and less likely that contract is going to happen. You've just got to hope that Harry Kane as a player would rather not walk away from Spurs on a free transfer, but only time will tell. Let's move on for the last kind of 8 minutes. So thank you to everyone that's in the chat. We are going to now talk about defenders. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button as well. And we're going to start off by talking about Mickey van der Ven. Wynnie, I'll come to you first. I did write down some stats to make it a little bit easier for everyone. 22-year-old left-footed centre-back. Okay. In the Bundesliga last season, he had a 90% pass success rate. And that's kind of all I wrote down.
Okay.
But I did see the one clip of him where he ran probably, 70, 80 yards to block the ball on the line.
Yeah.
The one benefit to me that I really see from him, or a couple of benefits, is A, his age, and B, is the fact that he is left-footed, which is why I believe that that's the player that we sign. But what do you think about him?
Again, we seem to be going for these players, and maybe it's ignorance on my behalf. I hadn't heard of him before we were linked with him.
I think it's your fault.
You what? Sorry?
I think that's your fault.
Okay, cheers, mate. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, that's fine. I'll take the rap on that one. No, okay. So on paper, as we say, I think he's the perfect fit out of the two. I've seen quite a few accounts on Twitter. If I've been able to read Twitter, obviously we know the outrage with Twitter at the moment. So I'm not going to get hunted down by Elon. So I'm not going to say too much about that. But I think on paper, I think he's the perfect fit. I've seen a few accounts say that it would be an underwhelming signing if it's him over Tapsoba. But for me, I think he's a good fit. Left-footed, as you say, he reminds me the way he holds himself, the way he makes like lunges into tackles. He just reminds me of a very, very quick Jan Vertonghen, and we know what Jan Vertonghen was like for the club. So I just think he's got the similarities of that. So yeah, either of the two I'll be happy with. But as you say, we can back that up with stats, which is our new approach, unfortunately. The roll of the eyes. Yeah, that's our new approach. And if the stats say that Van der Ven is the better player, then let's get him in. But I'll be happy with either. Either's going to be an upgrade on Eric Dyer. So
he's only better on pass success rate. He's not better on successful tackles, which we'll go into in a minute. But he is younger. than Tapsoba.
And will be cheaper.
Yeah. Oh dear, and cheaper.
The cheaper option.
I know. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on Mickey van der Ven? I don't know if you saw the video of him running 80 yards back to clear the ball off the line.
Oh,
No, I didn't, but I don't really have an opinion of him. But after Wynnie said that, I'm convinced now. So we just got to see, I guess, and anyone's going to be better than Eric Dyer. So as long as he can replace him, then
Definitely.
I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
Get Mr. Blobby in there, and it's probably an upgrade.
Exactly. Harry, thoughts on Mickey van der Ven?
For me now, Solomon coming in, I don't think we need. I need one player, and that has to be obviously a defender. So we bring Mickey van der Ven in. We get rid of 4, 5, 6 players, maybe. That's easy for me as an 8 out of 10 and a very satisfactory window for me. I don't see why we need 2 centre backs personally. With backups, we have Dyer. Technically, still have Dyer and Tanganga, and Davies could potentially play there as well. Ideally, of course, you'd like that second centre back, but to be honest with you, it wouldn't bother me because you've got the youth academy there. Just show a little bit more trust. Be bold. One of them gets injured, chuck them in. It'll be okay. You've got Tanganga and Dyer, but Dyer especially is very, very experienced. Personally, I'd much rather have Mickey van der Ven over to Bosa. As I said, younger, the cheaper option, like you mentioned, Luke, left-footed. He's very, very quick, very confident, very, very powerful. However, for me, it's unlikely that we'll get Mickey van der Ven because I think Liverpool show an interest in Van der Ven to partner, assumingly Van Dijk, or maybe be the long-term replacement for Van Dijk going forward with him and Konate, probably both of them. And Liverpool won't mess about. They're chucking the fee. They get on with it. they get on with it. So that's the worry. But I think for Mickey van der Ven, I think we're talking 25, 30 million max for him. Whereas to Bosa, I think we're talking 45, maybe even 50 million. So it's a big price range. One centre back, I'll be happy, and then we offload players. Very, very successful window. But Mickey van der Ven for me is the priority of the window.
Okay, perfect. We'll move on then. Pav, I'll come to you next about Tapsoba. Currently plays for Leverkusen. He is 24 years old, as opposed to Van der Ven, 22 years old. He had an 87% pass success rate in the Bundesliga last season, as opposed to Van der Ven's 90%, and he was also the third best tackler in the league with a 64% tackle success rate. But the downside is he is right-footed, which isn't the be-all and end-all. But if it's me and I'm getting a left-sided centre-back, I've absolutely baffled her with stats, and she's left.
Come on.
So Wynnie, I'll come to you.
Yeah.
So anyway, if it's me and I have a left-sided centre-back, I want a left-footed centre-back.
Makes sense.
Yeah, for that basis alone. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. What I will say is what I wanted to interject with anyway. So it's quite good that I've got a little bit of time to talk. Is I just I know everyone's saying it's Tapsoba or Van der Ven. There's part of me that thinks let's just go get both of them, only because we're looking at Sanchez. There's no way Sanchez is in our squad next season. I'm looking at Tanganga leaving as well. We do need to offload a lot of these defenders, but we also need to replace them. And I know obviously that Tosin is another one that we're looking at as a homegrown centre back. So yeah, if you want someone to play, left-sided centre back is what we've been crying out for a while. So it makes no sense to me to just fill that gap with a right-footed player, to be honest.
So who are you going for then? Tapsoba or Van der Ven?
Me, I'm going Van der Ven.
Harry, who are you going for?
Yeah, Van der Ven. It's very simple for me.
Yeah, Pav, I was worried that I baffled you.
Sorry.
And then you thought, do you know what? I can't cope with this. It's not usually like this, to be fair. Usually I talk nonsense. So everyone's in for a treat today. But I know that I'm kind of putting you in a position where, none of us really know any of these players to talk about. But which one are you preferring? Are you preferring a left-footed centre-back? Do you prefer your left-sided centre-backs to have a right foot? Do you have a preference on that?
I'm going with Van der Ven, and the only reason why is we can only go off stats at the moment because we don't really know anything about them, right? and he looks better than the other one, but could completely change. But we're not going to know ourselves until we see them play it in action, because this is going to be the Prem that they're going to play in, so it's going to be completely different. So we're not going to know until we see them in action. So good change, but yeah, I'd go with him.
I think I'd say, sorry, could I just cut in? I think I think Top Sober to me looks too much like Romero. I think they're very similar players in terms of, you know, that they can both carry the ball out from defence and make and you know, split the lines with a pass. So I think we need someone to balance Romero rather than have someone who is very similar to him. And I think Van der Ven is kind of like chalk and cheese with Romero. I think he'll fit nicely with him.
Definitely. I think that if, you know, it would be a very slim possibility if we were to sign 2 centre-backs, we would have to get rid of at least Tanganga, Sanchez, and even potentially likes of Ben Davis or Eric Dyer. I think that we should keep Eric Dyer in the squad at least, because, you know, if people talk about cup competitions, Christ alive, we're not keeping Ben Davis, man.
It depends who you listen to as well, because apparently Alistair Gold has said that Pedro Porro is absolutely buzzing to be living his dream, almost playing for Spurs, and the player that helped him integrate into the squad was Eric Dyer. So
and also what Alistair Gold said that he got called out for is it would keep both Dyer and Davis. And like I said to Luke, I quietly sat there to myself thinking, yeah, so would I. Dyer as a squad player and Davis probably as a squad player, but potentially a potential starter. If you said to me who'd much rather play in the back four out of any of the options we have on that left side, it'd be Ben Davis. He's the only natural left back and defensive ability. Yeah, so there you go.
Not for me, but you know what? I respect you, H, and you know, that's all I'm going to say on that. So that kind of draws us to a close. I'm not sure if Pav's going to come back, but if she doesn't, then you can check her out on Paxton Road TV YouTube channel. Make sure you go over and check that out, and thank her very, very, very much for coming on the show today. Harry Scarf, tell us all how everyone can find you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure. You can find me there if you want to follow me, Harry Scarf 22. I don't want to really mention the word Twitter at the moment. One thing's for sure is Elon's not helping the app whatsoever. But hey ho, I'm not falling for what he claims he's done it for. It's just to get people to pay for Twitter Blue, but etc. He can come after me if you like for this rocket. But I think he doesn't have much common sense, so he might crash on the way. So yeah, as I said, my Twitter handle is there. My YouTube channel there, Scarfy Spurs Talk, with daily content. The channel's doing very, very well. The aim is to reach 1K by the end of the week. And I'm hoping tomorrow, with the introduction of the weekly live shows returning, because they were popular, it helps with watch time, etc. But they are back. And also got the likes of Crackers and Anthony Costa coming on in the next 2 weeks as well. So I'm very, very excited for that last push to get to 1K. If we can't do it by the end of the week, I'm very happy to wait until the season starts so we can get it before then. So yeah, thank you for having me on, Luke. Obviously, I'm on here every Sunday, 7 p.m.
Oh, you're media trained. I love it. Right. Wynnie, how can everyone find you?
Yeah, Wynnie1991 on Twitter. Just hit me up if you don't reach your exceedance limit first. So
yeah, definitely. First thing you should do, go follow Wynnie and Harry, and then worry about all the other crap that you read on Twitter every day. If you want to check me out, it's Luke_Park Lane. But more importantly, you know, there's a few people still in the chat, so make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. If you're new, make sure you hit the like button. You know, we do this channel every week, Sunday, 7 o'clock, and like most YouTube channels, none of us get paid anything to do this, and we do appreciate you all. You know, we're more than happy to have any people on from any channel that wants to be here and to talk about Spurs every week. I want to thank everyone that watches, that listens, I should say, on any podcast platform, because, you know, that's an organic thing that we do every single week. And we have seen a lot of people coming over and listening on podcasts. So I want to thank them all for that as well. It's just Park Lane Podcast on any podcast platform. But Pav, you are back. I gave you a little shout out, but how can everybody find you?
You can follow my Twitter, which is PavJo, and also hit the subscribe button on our podcast channel, Paxton Road TV.
Perfect. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. So thank you very much for that. Hopefully you can come back on again soon.
Definitely. Sorry about that. I don't know what's happening today. It just keeps cutting out.
It was just ironic that it was after all them stats that he
I promise I'm not doing it on purpose.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in today, and we will see you all next week. Unfortunately, I won't be here. I will be in the mud at a music festival. So you'll have Dave, Wynnie, and Harry, and potentially a special guest. So just want to thank everybody for tuning in this week. I will see you all soon. We'll see you all next week, Sunday, 7 p.m. on Part Lane Podcast.